Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokce Capital. Now before I begin, be sure to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. In September 2017, a Tennessee game warden entered Hunter's property and took photos. A year later, the matter went to court. What happened? We'll find out at the end of this video. But first, if you are purchasing hunting land, you may want to set up a dove field. And in today's video, we have the top things you should know. Number 1. How do you select the site for your dove field? Well, there are several criteria you should consider. First of all, size. While 1 acre can work, you typically need more to attract a large number of birds. Also think about location. Dove fields that are located in an agricultural landscape tend to receive higher use than those that are surrounded by extensive woodlands. Birds also need food, so the landscape is very important. And finally, think about sightlines. Clean sightlines help to minimize the risk that predators like foxes, cats, and coyotes pose to mourning doves. Number 2. How do you prepare a dove field? Eliminate weeds and overgrowth to make a flat ground attractive to birds. Test the soil, then lime and fertilize the ground as needed based on the soil test. Also make sure there is sufficient drainage to prevent standing water. Then choose a variety of crops that produce large amounts of seeds, as well as seed at different times to keep the birds coming back. Number 3. What other considerations should you have when creating a dove field? Perching. Perch sites are a great addition. Usually these include dead trees or power lines, if available. Water. A water source with bare ground next to it is not absolutely critical, but it is a bonus. Disturbance. During late summer, the disturbance of doves should be minimized. Pest control. You should monitor your crop plantings for weed and insect invasions. Number 4. What laws exist around dove fields? One of the most important things to understand is that it is illegal at both the state and federal levels to hunt on or bait fields. This means that you cannot scatter or place seed or other grain on the field in order to attract doves. Seeds may only be scattered through the course of normal agricultural practices. Now before you scoff, this point about dove baiting is no joke. If you do build a baited field, you could be charged a hefty fine. Officers may even be able to enter your property to collect evidence of baiting. Consider, for example, the case of Hunter Hollingsworth. Hunter owns a 92.5-acre property straddling the Tennessee counties of Benton and Henry. In September 2017, Officer Kevin Hoofman from the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency entered Hunter's farm without a warrant in search of wildlife violations and took photos of dove bait. He then returned in November and took photos of Hunter spreading corn on his lake to bait waterfowl. Since both crimes are not only a state but federal offense, Officer Hoofman teamed up with Special Agent Kyle Locke of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to investigate the federal crimes. To this end, the officers placed a trail camera on a tree in Hunter's property to catch him baiting waterfowl. In 2018, Hunter pleaded guilty to baiting and had his hunting license revoked for 3 years. But here's where the story becomes more complicated. If you're a veteran landowner, you probably already know this. But in most states, game wardens do not need a warrant to search private property for hunting violations. This right is actually backed by a Supreme Court decision called the Open Fields Doctrine, which holds that the Fourth Amendment does not protect private open fields outside the immediate vicinity of a property owner's house and yard. Thus, game officials are generally allowed to enter private lands without a warrant if they can see or hear potential hunting offenses from a road or public area in order to stop or document crimes. While this may sound surprising to you, there is a practical reason for it. Protecting wildlife is a somewhat unique undertaking, for the animals are a public good, so to speak, but they often travel on private land. And to complicate matters further, the vast majority of hunting takes place on private land. As one former game warden noted, imagine an officer receives an anonymous call that someone is poaching deer. The call by itself would not reach the threshold to obtain a search warrant, so the officer goes to the remote area on a public road. In the distance, he sees a spotlight and hears a rifle shot. Yet the only way he can go investigate is through a private farm. Without a warrant, all he can do is watch through binoculars as the tiny figure in the distance disappears from the site. As Meat Eater's Ryan Callahan adds, we wouldn't need any of these laws if people acted within the regulations established through biological science. But a small number of people don't. So we have a tension between the need to protect our natural resources for the enjoyment of all and private property rights. Each state finds a slightly different balance between these competing interests. Yet, in Tennessee, after Hunter was charged with his crime, he went to court and changed the equilibrium in the state for good. On March 22, 2022, the Benton County Circuit Court ruled that the state code, which allowed wardens to enter private property without a warrant, violated the Tennessee Constitution. But this does not mean that dove baiting is now legal. So even if a Tennessee game warden can no longer enter your property without a permit, you could still be on the hook. But what do you think? Do you have any stories about dove fields? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce Land Due Diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down properties at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.